As I said, the Albanese government has broken a key election promise. We won't get the details until a National Press Club speech tomorrow, which in itself is ridiculous. If they've decided to do that, there should have been an announcement in a press conference this afternoon. Labor will need the support of the crossbench to get the measures through the Senate, although the Greens will tick off on them. One Nation leader Pauline Hanson joins me now. Senator, did you vote for the tax package when it went through the Senate? And what's your reaction to what we think is going to happen today?
I certainly did vote for the tax cuts, Steve, with my colleague Malcolm Roberts. I'm furious about this, Steve, absolutely furious. And Sally McManus saying ordinary Australians. You know, I'm an ordinary Australian as well, and I've worked hard through my whole life in trying to better myself in saving, going without, and, you know, I was wanting my tax cuts. I rather put the money in my pocket like many other Australians. I know best how to spend my money instead of giving to a government who squanders the money all the time and does not spend it wisely. The waste that goes on in this country, as I've called for an audit in the Aboriginal industry, the NDIS, with the climate scam that goes on, the billions of dollars that goes in multinationals' pockets, and then you talk about the middle-class Australians who are really suffering, the cost of living, the promises broken by this government. You're right in how you summed up your opening statements. They've lied, lied, lied. Labor continues to lie. Broken promises. Would not touch superannuation. We'll actually reduce your power bills by $275 a year. We're giving monies left hand over fist for the Voice, another $450 million, $10 million to the Aboriginal industry, all for those because they might have been offended because the vote came in no from the majority of Australians. And they want me to forego tax cuts, to give it more to them so they can just squander the money. And the lower class Australians, okay, the ones who are not on high wages, they have tax benefit cuts A and B, they have healthcare, they have prescriptions, they have rental assistance, they have plus, but the middle income earner doesn't get that. You know, even childcare, the billions that goes into childcare, where's the accountability for that? I have had a gutful, and I'm sick and tired of seeing $250 billion of our money goes to a lot of people who are unemployed or underemployed, who don't want to get jobs, who want to be couch potatoes, thinks that they actually are owed a standard or way of life by the hard-working Australian taxpayers. Rein that in, and then I might consider that my taxes are better spent. But other than that, you're not incentivising Australians to go out and work harder, to take on extra jobs, to earn more money, to feed their families, to cover the cost of living. You're actually detrimental to people's outlook, because I tell you what, this will tell a lot of Australians, oh, we might as well throw our jobs in, we'll become a couch potato and we'll go on to the welfare system.
You've got to ask, Senator, how can we trust anything the Prime Minister says going forward? He talked about transparency during an election campaign. Can you imagine how you would be vilified if you made a statement and then did a complete backflip on it?
Steve, there's two sets of rules for the Labor Party, and it just churns my stomach that the media do not scrutinise this government as they have done with the previous government. And if I had done anything, I'm scrutinised for everything that I say and do. There's no accountability. I see legislation pushed through that parliament without real consultation with the public. I've seen broken promises. I see that they are lying continually on that floor of parliament. I have, you know, through stages that we have to question them over it. They can't even answer my questions. They are most incompetent government with their ministers who don't even, not across their portfolios, don't know what they're doing. I'm sick of the involvement of the unions, and I'm not against unions. I think they're beneficial. But the unions are running this party as well, the Labor Party. They're full of their union mates who've got their seats in Parliament. Then you've got the Greens. They're appeasing the Greens, and the Greens have no idea about economic management of this country. Unless we rein it in, and I say about the spending, I just inform people, between all your governments, your state governments and the federal government, they rein in $1.9 billion a day into the coffers through taxes. You tell me, where is that money going? We've got failed policing, failed hospitals, failed doctors, failed education. Everything is failing. The infrastructure, no dams, the roadworks, there is nothing. And we're spending money on social engineering, and it is just, it makes my blood boil, Steve, to see the way this country is going.
And what about the lack of judgment? I mean, the Prime Minister has recalled all of his parliamentary colleagues to Canberra, costing us somewhere around $500,000. That's bad enough that they all jump on business class and fly to Canberra when they don't need to be there. But on top of that, they say, OK, we're going to have a caucus meeting, we'll make some decisions, we won't announce them until tomorrow, and everyone's going to the lodge for drinks.
That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all. Where they called back to Parliament for one day, I've been told it's in excess of $1 million to call the parliamentarians back to Canberra. Then they take their staff, so cost of travel, overnight accommodation, everything. The waste of money that goes on is just absolutely ridiculous because, you see, it doesn't come out of their own pockets. They have no understanding. And when the Prime Minister goes on about how hard he had it in the House Commission House, oh, give me a break. We're crocodile tears as far as I'm concerned. He's never had a real job. He's been at university, he's worked in politics all his life. He's never gone without. If anyone went without, it probably was his mother that went without. So I have no pity for him whatsoever, and it's been just an excuse that he uses to get the sympathy from the general public. And I'll tell people out there, you're responsible for this in the way that you vote. And unless we actually get some true action to rein this in, your cost of living is not going to come down. It will go up. The dream of owning your own home, a future for your children, a decent standard of living, for a decent education, hospital care. Do you know, I took my son to the hospital on Monday, and he's a grown man. Do you know, we were sitting in there, and I was told it's a 10-hour wait, Steve. In the hospitals, in Ipswich Hospital, a 10-hour wait. So I had to take him to the private hospital, which I had no problem paying for it because I want my son to get the attention, but I want any Australian to get their attention. I was fortunate enough to be able to pay the bill for him. But the whole fact is that many Australians can't. That disgusts me. That's why I get so angry about the waste of money, because, you know, it's ordinary Australians. These are the ordinary Australians that Sally McManus is talking about that should have a right to that decent health care. And I don't blame the staffing. I blame governments for their decisions that they made, especially what they did during the COVID. And you know, hard-working Australians lost their jobs because they wouldn't have the jab. We've lost all that experience. And they won't even look at trying to amend it and try to do something about it.
Great to see you fired up at the start of 2024, Senator Hanson. We'll talk to you again very shortly.